Hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of Tea with Taylor. Season 5, Season of New Friends. And we have a very jam-packed show for you today. So I think I'll just get on with it. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. Today is the start, for me, the celebration, and of course the celebration and the education of Black History Month. So happy Black History Month. I have my really near and dear close friend with me, and also our new friend. So I'm going to bring them in and we're going to get into our hot topics. Come on in, guys. I promise they're here. They're here. I promise. Oh, hello. Hello. Okay. And so today, for our Black History special, I have two really distinguished men of color to talk about Black history and Black culture, and we're gonna get into it. Where they at? But I'm gonna give you guys time and space to introduce yourselves and your pronouns and what you do, whatever you feel that you do. And let's start with you, Mr. Sage.
Oh, I get to go first?
Oh,
I'm just sitting here sharing and tagging
Because sometimes, you know, he's long-winded. He's
you know
minister. What? He likes to give service sometimes. So we're going to let him go first.
Okay. My name is Dion Sage, for all of you out there. Host of the Progress Report and Coffee with D, which will be starting back tomorrow at 10 o'clock every Saturday, 10 o'clock in the morning. Join me. Also, join me Tuesday for the Progress Report as we talk about everything that affects Black and Brown people as well as the LGBTQIA plus community.
Hold on.
Great season. Bishop
McQueen is watching. I feel honored. Thank you for watching, Bishop McQueen.
Hey!
He says, I love you all.
Hi, Bishop. I love you too, Bishop.
Oh, yes.
Glory. Yes, that's our Bishop. Bishop Keith McQueen, who is the Bishop of Powerhouse Global Network.
And we must mention Powerhouse.
We must mention Powerhouse. I am a member, Brother Taylor's member also over at Powerhouse Boston. We love Powerhouse, and I love everything that they're doing. Because I'm a member, you know. But just to continue, yes, I am friends with Taylor and now his roommate and all this stuff and all this great jazz and
etc.
I'm excited to be here because I'm excited to meet this man, you know, that's sitting next to me. I've heard some great things about him.
Yes. And so who are you? Tell the viewers who you are.
Oh, well, first let me shout out some people from Providence.
Okay, shout out. Let's go. Let's do it.
This is not my home turf. So shout out to Prince Michael Clark.
Yes,
Michael Clark.
I want to give love to the stable, which has had me DJ because I'm a DJ.
Okay. We love the stable.
We like the stable.
And I want to give love to Rhode Island Pride, which has also had me here.
Okay. Nice.
Okay. My name is Ephraim Adams, and I'm most known as a civil rights activist and a recording artist. But I have an event planning company as well. So support Black-owned businesses.
That's right.
Now I stumbled upon you as an artist, as a rapper, and there was a spoken word event actually that I posted to my events page that you were part of. I forget the name of it, but you do it all. It was
that here local?
It was local, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I believe it was in the Boston area, but it was a spoken word event, and I was like, spoken word? Wow, you literally do it all, huh?
Oh, okay.
So
I hope so. I tried to dip and dabble.
Yeah, it was like a showing of something spoken word and some sort of a film that was behind it.
Oh, yeah.
Black Art Heals. That's what it was. Black Art Heals. Ha ha. He still got it.
Okay.
So
I do documentaries.
Oh, okay.
Now tell us about
I had to pull that out. I had to pull that out of you. But before we get into our topic today, which is going to be a little bit about Black culture, a little bit about Black history, as you all know here on Tea with Taylor, I am very adamant about showing love to, and not only showing love, but educating and teaching the Black and Brown community, but also the LGBTQI plus community, which both are near and dear and both I am a part of. So I feel that those things are very close to me, and those are things that I want to always acknowledge here on Tea with Taylor and always talk about. Dion, what do you?
Oh, nothing. I forgot something that I needed over on the table. Focus on trying to get people, and I'm trying to signal our producer in the back. Yes,
I see.
Yes,
oh my gosh,
yes.
my goodness.
Sorry, can I just really quickly?
Oh Lord,
Can I just really quickly? Everyone, if you don't know, the Icons Calendar 2022 is out. Right? The Icons Calendar features black and brown artists, black and brown drag queens, drag kings, performers, things of that nature.
Literal icons, darling.
Icons.
And who produces this?
This is produced by a good friend by the name of Onyx, Young Onyx. She produces it, and along with her partner Max. And it is a phenomenal calendar. Every year they try to do new people. This is my second year being in the calendar, I'll be honest. And I'm like, I really don't want to be in the calendar anymore because, like.
And Max, the photographer who did it, Young Onyx's partner, is an amazing photographer here locally in Providence. And if you need to get your bookings through them. They are amazing.
I want to draw everybody's attention to this photo here. I want to draw everybody's attention to this photo here. Imagine waking up on Easter morning and the Easter Bunny just left this right there in the morning for you. Look at this floral arrangement right here. Wow, isn't that is your host Taylor Neptune right here.
I am your Mr. April.
Let me just tell you this. It is for charity. It's for a good cause. $20 for the calendar. We will put the link in the comments. I just want to. I'm in it.
Yeah, he's in it too. He's in it too. And all of the House of Neptune minus one.
Since you asked so politely to see my picture, you know, Dion Sage right there.
You know what? And you're just gonna have to buy one to see the rest of that.
Yes, because all the pictures are very fire. Like the pictures in it are so fire.
Llama's watching it. Says yes, baby, my April. Okay, thank you.
Can I be your March though?
Where do we buy? So you can message at Young Onyx or at Nael Chic on Facebook and Instagram to get your copy.
Yes.
And you can send your message to me after the show. I'll direct you to who.
Or you can send it to me and we'll direct you to the right place.
Before we get into our hot topics, I just wanted to bring this to your attention. And last year around this time for Black History Month, I created a 3-part series called the Negro Experience, which I think was phenomenal. I think it got out a lot of good information. It was one of the most viewed things of that season as well. And I had the privilege of being able to share with you the experience of being Black. From my point of view, and through culture, and through a lot. It's a lot. Listen, we love being Black. It's a little dangerous sometimes, but we love it. We love being Black. Being Black is everything.
I got no choice.
But I want to remind. This is true. This is true. But I want to remind everyone when you're remembering Black History Month, and when this time comes upon every year, to not only simply celebrate, but we're listening to the voices in the community.
Yes.
And that we are listening to the calm, cool, and collected voices, as well as the people who are expressing rage and anger and distrust. Because it has been something that has plagued our community for some time, for as long as we can think of. And so we have to make sure we're listening to those voices equally and acknowledging that more so in Black History Month, and that we're teaching this year-round. And we're going to get into that a little bit more because I think it's definitely something we need to teach year-round.
Listen,
Dion, as a teacher, I'm panning to you, but you know the struggle.
Listen. You know the argument about critical race theory.
Oh no! We're gonna get into. Don't you worry about it. We're gonna get
right there. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Stop right there. Pause.
Listen, I was ready to go. Pause. Bang! You said Dion teacher.
Pause.
Bang! 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 I was ready.
But cheers to us. Cheers to Black History Month. Salute. Guys,
I mean, we can get right into that first.
Let's take this.
Okay.
Let's take this little drink, this little shot. You got one right here.
See.
Oh yes.
No, I need to think straight as well.
Oh yes. A little social lubrication.
What was that? That was water.
That was Jack and soda water, ginger soda water. So first and foremost, I just want to stir some shade towards Facebook. That's my first hot topic because. If you recall,
shut us down.
I want to say 2 weeks, they're going to shut us down. If you recall, 2 weeks ago, I think it was, I did polyamory. And there were so many glitches, it was ridiculous, I don't understand. But you guys watched, whatever, it was cute, it came together pretty well. But there were so many glitches, and everyone, Dion, my witness, I don't know if you've noticed it, but everyone that week who used Facebook Live, who used that system, anything virtual was glitchy.
I had
Wait, was that, you mean the day that Facebook and Instagram went down?
No, not that. No,
day.
this was more last week. This was 2 weeks ago, actually.
2 weeks ago.
Everything was glitchy.
Everybody's shows were not.
No one could get anything done or working correctly during that time period. And I think I know why.
Why?
Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg lost $237 billion in the stock industry. The biggest dip.
Because of the metaverse.
The biggest dip because of this metaverse business. The biggest dip and loss that they've had in the stock market in Facebook.
I mean...
Interesting.
And that was around the same time that we all experienced all those glitches.
Is it really a loss for him? He's still the 10th most richest person in America.
That's what I wanted to say. Is it really a loss for him?
So this is not connected to when Facebook was down for like...
No, not that. They did lose money then, but not as much as now.
Oh, okay.
Yes. They lost a lot of money during that. When Facebook and Instagram went down, people were losing their mind because it went down for like a whole day.
Well, we need a black-owned social media.
Yes, black-owned social media. Absolutely.
We need a black-owned a lot of things.
We talk about this often.
You know, listen. Like even I say a lot of times, like, you know, we need a black-owned media company. BET, once it became publicly traded, you know, it allowed for, you know, when Bob Johnson.
There's actually.
I was like, are we gonna talk about BET?
Well, there's a black-owned news station now on cable. It's called BNC News, Black News Channel.
Oh, and I had not heard of this. Okay, bringing your own hot topic.
One of the anchors is from Philly. I can't think of his name right now, but he also owns a black-owned bookstore. It's called Uncle Bobby's.
Okay.
So when you get a chance, go to Philadelphia. Check out this bookstore. It's called Uncle Bobby's. It's full of all black written books.
Oh,
all types of books on black hair, black clothes, black movement, black civil rights, black fashion, black motherhood, any blackness you can think of.
All of the blackness, the greatness.
And I wish I could remember the anchor's name.
No, that's really interesting. I didn't know that people still
Uncle Bobby's.
I didn't know people still had cable. That's just as shocking. Right. That's as shocking as the news you just shared.
Well, I discovered it on Switch TV, which is an app that streams cable.
Okay. There's always a platform.
Philadelphia, Uncle Bobby's, and they've started a black-owned news station so that we can tell our own news and stories.
You know what? Like I always say, why not us? Why not us? Why not we be the person? We talk about it enough. Why not us be the one that start this black-owned this and the black-owned that and the black-owned this? Because there's such a stigma attached to black-owned businesses that I feel like prevents a lot of people from starting black-owned businesses. So before you even begin the process, you're already stifled. So I feel like that plays a role into it a lot, like a big role into it. But I'm here for it. I'm so ready to support the next black business, the next big black business. Like, let's do something. JD saying hi, Taylor and Dion. Hi, JD. Thanks for watching.
Hi, Jay. How you doing?
We have DJ Ephraim Adams. Sorry, don't.
Wow.
That was bad.
Such a bad dad joke.
DJ Ephraim Adams as well today.
And Orion coming.
Yeah, my kids are gonna read me for that one. I know it. I know it.
Literally,
but speaking of DJ Ephraim,
the ones and twos.
On the ones and twos.
He just tried to pull a ones and twos.
I was in the 2-1-2. Sorry.
Lord have mercy.
But speaking of DJ Ephraim, I asked you earlier who your favorite R&B artist was, and you said Miss Janet, as you should, which is a great answer.
Janet Jackson.
Miss Jackson, if you're nasty.
Okay.
Hi Calypso. Calypso's watching. Calypso Phoenix Brown, one of our favorite local queens, House of Brown.
Yeah.
But Janet has her new documentary out. Did you see it?
Yes, of course I seen
Did
that.
you?
Yeah.
Okay, what spoilers are you willing to share? What were your thoughts? Because I don't think I haven't seen it yet. I plan on watching it. Have you seen it, Dion?
I have not seen it.
One
of my thoughts. There's not enough time on primetime television to tell her life story.
As a Jackson, I knew she had something cooking in there.
Since it's Black History Month, I just want to say that the reason why I'm such a big fan is what, not just her family name and what she means to black entertainment, but the time period in which they came from in the 60s and 70s.
Right.
So, we were still going through segregation and Martin Luther King and all these civil rights prominent times in history. So to be kind of break the mold during that period where black artists didn't even have like copyrights to their own material. They were still using white faces, you know, we were singing from behind a curtain, you know what I mean?
Oh,
so,
yes.
And the music videos and the visuals pretty much put MTV on the map.
And they definitely broke the mold, like you said. They were seen as other for the time period, and that's a big thing for a black artist, especially.
And, since like an album like Rhythm Nation, which is so like socially conscious and pop music, I haven't really seen anything.
Janet had some
kind of
Janet
direct.
had some songs. Let me tell y'all.
Janet and Mike.
Listen. Well,
Calypso said,
we all know Michael, but I'm
Calypso
just saying.
said, let's just jump
Janet had her song.
Like Calypso said, let's just jump into the games.
You know, I had to come in with the all black nation look.
I can't. No,
you settle down.
Oh yes, Rhythm Nation. Okay, yes. No, I'm not even mad.
We'll get to the games in a moment.
We get to
settle down.
Speaking of the games,
settle down.
Last week one of my guests mentioned the How Do You Do game, and so we're gonna play How Do You Do today, Calypso. I think Dion might be pretty good at it from what I can recall from the last time I had him on. But How Do You Do, Ephraim, is basically I have to sing a song to you, but I can only say it with do's.
With do's?
Do's, like do. Yeah, so you're gonna have to figure out what song I'm trying to sing to you, but it's only with do-do-do's.
Do.
Basically, yeah.
Do.
See, you're ready. Okay, see, Calypso, you got what you wanted. And I know what that is, but I don't know the name of it. So we're gonna move on for now. I was like, wait, yeah. So another thing that I found interesting this week, Encanto. We were just watching this earlier. Are you obsessed with it yet?
What is it?
Encanto, the new Disney movie? I guess not. You said, what is it?
Well, I don't watch too much. I know I DJ and make documentaries and stuff, but I don't actually watch.
No, that makes sense. No, that makes a lot of sense. There are like days and days that'll go past when I really just won't even turn the TV on. So there are things. I get that. No, I get it. Especially people always think like because you're behind the scenes and you do all these kinds of things that you are usually just glued to it or you know all about it. I don't keep up with a lot of things.
Sometimes I just don't feel like sometimes I don't even want to open my newsfeed because I'm like,
yeah. But Encanto, it's one of the highest rated. I just heard from Jordan. You know, one of the highest rated newest films from Disney. But not to even get into the film. But not even to get into the film. It's a family. It's a Hispanic family that is giving gifts basically throughout the century. Magical gifts. They're given throughout the family for 3 generations to help build a village. That's as much as I'm going to give away for people who haven't seen it. Hi, Jackie. Thanks for watching. But the voice of one of the characters, Luisa, she's super strong. And she is big. She's tall, she's muscular. So she's not confined to the typical Disney body shape, so to speak. But the voice of Luisa is a queer Cuban woman.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and so this woman, her name is Jessica Darrow, and she is actually she's on the list of the Hot 100 Lesbian Crush list. Already. So I was like, that's really interesting, and I saw a picture of her. She's very, very pretty.
I'm not going to sing how I think her song is.
No, her song was so good. I was just watching it earlier.
Her song was good. Her song was good, but I don't know the words to it, so I made up my own song to it, and it was really terrible.
This is to the theme song of the movie?
Yeah.
No, it's not the theme song of the movie.
Oh, she
you know
has
how
her
Disney
own,
movies, they all have the character development through a song. So her character's problem was that she couldn't express herself emotionally, but she was strong on the outside, so people depended on her to do that. So she felt kind of like she was like the task rabbit. And the character, the person who does her voice, Jessica Darrow, also said she relates to the character in that respect as a Cuban queer woman. She has always felt like her value is based off of what she can do for other people. And so that's how she related to the character. Yeah. And I just found that really interesting. And I was like, oh, not her being gorgeous as well. Like, what? And the other tea about Encanto was that more women or more young girls related to the Luisa character than they did to the other character who was like the typical princess character. She had floral
like
powers.
Women in general.
Yeah, she had the flower power. She had flower power. She could create flowers and vegetation and things like that. But she was the typical pretty Disney character, and more girls, young and old, related to the Luisa character than they did to her. And I found that interesting. I was like, that's a show of the change of times, if nothing else.
Well, I mean, I think it is a show that changed times because I think we are focusing on being more aware of the inner self versus what's on the outer self in this day and age. You know, especially when we're talking about like like how people feel about themselves, whether it be because of their skin color. There's because of their skin color, because of their their shape, because of their sexuality, or their gender identity. We are more aware now of the psyche and that's going through that. Even when it comes to, and we're seeing all these studies pop up all around.
Absolutely.
Of studying, how black men feel when we get pulled over by police officers.
Oh, that's what. Yeah.
So even with that, we're learning that. And the other day it was crazy because I was sitting down, and me, I just be Taylor knows I'll sit in my room, right? And I was thinking about racism.
What?
And people who were, I was just thinking about racism just randomly, and I literally said, "Wait, listen to this. It's the weight of the world on my shoulder." I was thinking about racism, and I literally came to the conclusion that white people who are poor and are racist have a mental health condition.
And mental health is a really big part of it. Calypso says who can identify with the princess. I haven't seen the movie yet, though. And Jackie says it's nice to see women characters who aren't just damsel in distress, which is it's also really a huge part of it. I think that's also.
You mind if I butt in here?
No, please do.
Previously, when you look at the ideal model type, the glass figure, the long hair, and those things, that's no longer like the model image of society.
Right.
And then especially where I see the generation coming after us, like where they're on technology and stuff. You go on TikTok, social media, Instagram, you click and you see different types of people.
Yeah.
You see right in the living rooms of folks who are thicker than you, or a different color than you, or listen to a different music than you. And then kind of like the idea of global citizenship, where now I have access to someone doing something in China. I have something to of someone in India. You know what I mean?
And I think it's more so as well, just now we're in the day and age where we're able to glorify our differences that can bring us together. As opposed to in the past where differences would be the thing that we nitpick and make and separate us. Now we're more in an acceptable.
Who wants to be the same?
Who wants to be different? Right? No one wants to be normal on average. But like people had that aspiration in the past to be normal.
It's funny you say that because somebody has said to me that they were weird the other day. And I looked at him and I said, I don't believe there are weird people. Everyone's different. Everyone's unique. God made us in His image, but God made us special.
Absolutely.
Each of us different.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So that's just...
No, that's a really good point. That's a really good point.
And I think we're becoming, like you said, more self-aware of that, of what everybody goes through.
And that kind of ties into our next hot topic. I have a few more. But an actress that I really admire, Miss Viola Davis, is representing something that we have talked about, Dion. Viola Davis is representing black female warriors on the big screen. She's bringing a movie called The Woman King to the big screen this fall. And she's going to be representing a historic point of view of black female warriors.
Let me see. Somebody love me some Viola Davis.
We love some Miss Viola Davis.
Love Viola Davis. But just don't put her in heels.
Oh my God, we've seen the Viola Davis walk in
black
heels.
female warriors, I want to shout out Grace Jones.
Oh yes, Miss Grace Jones. Oh yes. How could we never forget Miss Grace Jones? But Viola Davis, though, she's lit like living legend for me. I think everything she puts her mind to, everything she touches, turns into a well done piece of work.
Yeah.
And I admire her for that. And so I think this is gonna be a moment. I think she's about to like this. And we already seen the snot.
What's the time period?
We already. I don't know. She said just the fall. I saw it on Instagram.
Oh, okay.
And so we already seen the snot cry, and we already seen her get angry on how to get away with murder. So I think now we ready to see her like in action and at war. and the look actually was very reminiscent of the Black Warriors in Black Panther. The females with the one with the bald head. And,
Very Grace Jones.
Very Grace Jones, yes. So I was like, oh, I'm here for this. I'm here for it. Calypso's going off about Lin-Manuel's music formula.
Listen, I mean, I agree. I just read that and I was like, you know what? I see no lies.
I see no lies.
I'm not reading all that because you wrote a whole paragraph.
No, I read it. I read it.
I read it here, but I did not read it out loud.
So I would be remiss to mention this. Unfortunately, it's not a very good hot topic. Ooh. But we had a reigning champion in the beauty industry, in the Miss USA and global pageants, we had a trifecta. We had 3 black women representing all 3 pageants for the U.S. and the other 2 big ones. I forget what they are, but we had 3 black women representing us. And unfortunately, in the beauty pageants, the global network of beauty pageants, and unfortunately, Miss USA has just committed suicide.
My God.
At 30 years old, Miss USA, and her name was Chelsea Christ, the former Miss USA, just committed suicide, and we, I want to send condolences to that family, rest in peace to Chelsea. She was also doing a lot of corresponding with the New York Gossip News, I forget, but she was also doing corresponding, and her career was actually doing really well. And we mentioned this last week about Regina King's son on Hot Topics. It's just something that reminds us to make sure you're checking in with your strong friends. Yeah. And it's not always as it appears.
But also,
it's a big part of it is mental health, and we have to always always have to be checking in on mental health, regardless of what it seems on the outside, because things like this happen.
It's true.
Things like this happen, and so we send condolences to that family. It's sad to see that someone who's on top of her game go like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about it time and time again, mental health especially when it comes to people. They get to a certain status, especially the celebrity status, Look at what happened with the young lady, Simone Biles, where she had to take herself out because of mental health. And we've also seen it from the pro tennis player, where she's taken herself out because of mental health issues and things like that. Mental health is something very, very, very real. And even, myself recently, I had to take a day off from doing my show because I had to have a mental health day check. Doing this sometimes, even on a small scale, you have to literally wait a minute, you're pulled here, you're pulled there, people want you to speak here, people want you to be at this event, you're doing all this stuff, but you never take that time to say, okay, is Dion okay? Or is so-and-so okay, And
not for nothing,
do that.
Relating it back to being black and brown or being queer or both, I think self-care turns into self-preservation. And that's just how you have to look at it. You have to preserve yourself in order to continue giving that level of yourself to others and to the world, and even to benefit yourself. It's self-preservation. It's not just self-care. It's self-preservation, especially when you're black and brown. And that's something I cannot emphasize enough. Moving forward just a little bit with something a little bit more exciting, a little bit more fun. I know you guys have probably heard this, but
nope.
Yeah, you probably have.
No.
One of my favorite music artists is Expecting.
Oh.
Yes. Miss Rihanna, Miss Riri.
You know what? Time out.
And it's not the kind of pregnancy like Lil Nas did when he was just birthing music, because we would have welcomed some new music, Miss Rihanna. But it's okay, we love you. And she's expecting a new child with her boo thing.
Let me just tell you something. Rihanna, go ahead and do you. Be happy. Start your family.
We're glad. No, we're so happy for
you. We can wait for new music.
Of course we're happy.
We can wait for new music. I understand everybody wants new music, but let's be real.
You still bopping.
Okay.
Everybody said you go in the club.
You know what? I want to hear from Efren, because Efren sounds like he's on my side. What do you think about this, Efren?
Right now.
I'm excited. Don't get me wrong, and I'm really glad that she's starting a family.
Well, let her start a family. Go ahead.
Listen,
I'm not a DJ or anything.
The music industry, from what we hear in the underground and entertainment in general is a very cutthroat business.
Oh yes.
And things of that nature. So sometimes people figure out, throughout their career that they have another passion or drive that they want to focus on.
And she has been killing it in the fashion industry. Right. Killing it.
And I think she's already made her mark, because when I look at music and how she, meshed pop with the Caribbean sound and things. That was very groundbreaking.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what else more do we really need other than being thirsty?
Listen, I'm just tired of
Thank you.
I'm just tired of bopping to the same
Stop being
Rihanna.
Thirsty for Rihanna music.
I'm just tired of bopping to the same Rihanna. I need to hear all of it.
Mm-hmm.
Sean Reeves is saying, "Hey guys, hey Sean."
Now not too long, once
not too long. Once you turn 5 years old,
mark, right?
5 years old.
That's what I'm saying.
5 years old when they start going to kindergarten,
I'm
put
saying.
your behind back in that studio, okay?
Listen, that's what I'm
We
saying.
need something.
She could be in the
that little
while she's
10-year
pregnant.
anniversary EP or whatever.
I think that between her and ASAP, they could have been did a little collab to hold us over.
Have you ever been pregnant? Have you ever been pregnant?
Pregnant with the spirit, yes.
Yeah, listen.
But Sean Reese is saying hello, and Michael Clark just joined in. Hey, Mike. And Jacqueline Nilsson said, "Let Riri live." So we gonna let Riri live. But
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for that music. I'm not gonna be quiet about how I'm waiting for this music. So there's that.
You know, Riri, when you ready, girl.
Also,
ready.
speaking of the waiting for the music, the Brat is and their partner is also expecting. They're
Yay.
the Brat
and the girl that she
yeah.
just engaged.
So they are actually planned on getting married. Hold on, they're getting married in the next month.
So I was there at Atlanta Pride where she proposed to her.
Yes. Oh yes.
Yeah.
So the Brat and her partner are getting married in the next month, and they are expecting their first child as well.
Oh,
so
boy.
congrats to the Brat as well. You know, like I'm proud. I'm happy for them starting their family, but like. I'd be happy for an album too. I'm just saying.
Well, the Brad's a legend too.
The Brat is
when
a
you
legend.
think of, I know during that period it was so like hush, hush, hush.
Sean said, "Look at the fashion on this panel.
You know?
Look at this fashion on this panel tonight." Sean says, "Thanks."
But how many rappers are out and lesbian?
Not a lot.
Yeah,
Queen
yeah.
Latifah waited forever to come out. We all knew Queen Latifah was a little bit queer, if nothing else.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Calypso said we ain't never getting. Calypso said we ain't never getting an album. She done. Maybe her baby would give us new music. Maybe Beyonce did the whole Blue Ivy song, so at least a single.
Maybe, hopefully.
Maybe we could keep our fingers crossed, girl. That's all I can
But
say.
just let her start her family. She's getting older, you know. Let her start her family.
Listen. Well, I think it's about that time. We are at our half marker for the night, and I am going to play our first game, which is How Do You Do? Don't look at the book.
Oh.
I'm like, you gotta see the answers.
I'm sorry.
Calypso, if you're are you ready? Jacqueline said, imagine Rihanna and Beyonce drop a duet single and a duet fashion show. Whoa, that's too much for my brain to comprehend right now, Jackie. Slow
Beyonce
it down.
and Rihanna?
Yeah.
Oh.
A fashion show and a single.
Oh, they don't have a song together.
No, they don't have a song together. That's the only two I think that don't have a song together as far as like the R&B divas.
Interesting.
Interesting. But that's too much for my brain to comprehend right now.
Aretha and Patty never had a song together.
You know what, Dion? You would go to Aretha and Patty.
They didn't have a song together. You know they didn't like one another.
They did not like each other.
They did not like each
Biggie
other.
and Tupac. But the first game, as we talked about earlier, is going to be How Do You Do, guys? So
Okay, let
the
me see
idea
how well
of the
I'm
game,
going to-
right? Yes, get it together. Rip.
I'm terrible at this game. You're gonna win. You got this.
So
Well,
basically,
I might not know music as well as you think. Not in a do fashion.
not in a do fashion.
Okay.
So basically, the point of this game is I have to try to get them to guess the song that I am humming or singing to them, but only by saying it with do's. So, are you guys ready for this nonsense and foolery? Calypso's ready. She said we could just cry tears of joy and rapture would commence.
That's an accident waiting to
Thank
happen.
you. It always is. It always is. Here we go. First song. This one's really
Can
easy.
you hold a note?
Yeah, girl.
All right.
Come on.
Maybe
You
it's not our fault if we don't get it.
You
If we
need to
don't
watch.
get
You
it.
need to watch some of the powerhouse services encounters because
Okay.
that's the only time I really let myself go and blow for the Lord. But
The Lord too.
for the Lord.
I can't hold a note, so
Ooh,
go ahead.
This one's really easy. This is just a warm up. Do 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 do.
Oh, lift every voice and sing.
Thank you. There we go. See?
Okay.
Oh, that's one for Dion.
Oh, they're all
Okay.
black songs.
No, that one's just a warm up because we're getting into Black History today, and I knew you guys would get that one. Okay, I knew that was gonna be the one. All right, you ready?
The real national anthem.
The
That
real
should be-
national
that
anthem.
should be the national anthem.
Calypso even said it. Lift every voice. Okay, word. Good. I'm glad that one was so transparent. The next one. This one is pretty transparent too. Do 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 do.
Oh, Lauryn Hill, Zion.
Yes. Wow. Okay. What's going on, Ephraim?
I'm feeling right
What's
now.
going on?
My audience is like, oh, he tried it.
He tried it. What's going on, Ephraim?
Okay, let's get on.
I thought you were gonna catch that one. I gave you a little vibrato on that one too. Sheesh. All right, this one.
It's a Frank Ocean song. I know the song.
Somebody say it in the comments so I can just stop doodling.
I'm gonna take the L for Connecticut.
Oh my god, that's an L for both of y'all. That is thinking about you, Frank Ocean.
Oh, it was thinking. I knew it was Frank Ocean. Can I get half credit? I should get a half credit. Half a point on that one. At least I said Frank Ocean.
Even Jordan knew that from back there. I can't.
Of course, Jordan got the list back there. He got the whole side with the whole list. He knows it.
Oh my gosh. All right. Next. This one's really easy too. I thought that was easy too, so I guess I don't know. We'll see.
It's better than yours.
Oh God! No you, but I have to charge. Come on!
If you want it.
Are you kidding? Callisto got that one too. Milkshake. Are you kidding me, Ephraim?
Oh gosh!
Wow. Okay.
If I do, y'all wouldn't know half the song.
You know what? Here's your shot for that. You're welcome. You're welcome. I'm over it. I can't. That was almost as bad as my season finale last season. When
Well, time out. Wait a minute. Why do I have to take a shot? Didn't I win?
You don't have to, but it's there. You know, it's there for you.
I won. I shouldn't have to do a shot.
Cheers, guys. So
That sounds okay. Sounds like a penalty.
Right.
It's a little bit. Just a little bit.
Y'all see I put it down, right?
You did put it down. I saw that. I looked in the camera. I saw that. But, you know, we've had some fun, so I think it's time to get into this really important topic, guys. I think it's really important. And I think we have to express this every month, every year, every day, every week, every hour, if I could. Who has got the time? But, you know, again, it is Happy Black History Month. Again, I'm going to say that, but it is a time for celebration as well as legislation, like we heard from the MLK family, as well as a time for education. This is the time where we should be susceptible and provoking knowledge and education within ourselves. I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again, public service announcement for you, those of you who haven't heard me say this. Do not make your in education a brown person's problem. Do not. Do not. Don't approach your only brown friend. Don't approach your brown coworker. There is literature. There is movies. There is the internet. We have
libraries.
Resources. Right. Do not make that a brown person's problem.
How about my facial expression when you say the bullshit?
Do not make that a brown person's problem.
Although I'm not usually offended when people have a constructive question.
And don't get me wrong, we're open to it, but don't make
but it's not our responsibility.
Right, and it's not our responsibility. Please be responsible enough.
I mean, unless you're paying me to be a diversity trainer, then it's my responsibility.
Okay, getting that coin. okay, I'm not mad at you getting the coin. I'm
just saying.
But again, I said it, and I'm going to continue to say it.
Working on some program.
Where
black and brown people get compensated.
Hire me
to spill their knowledge. I'll put y'all on.
Hold
on, let me just tell you this. I'll never forget something that when we were at our pastor's house, we're sitting in the backyard, and he said, when you're out there doing these job resumes, you know the one big thing we could put. First, you're a person of color. And you're queer, so you tell them you bring diversity.
No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. And one of the other things I really want to make sure to get out is that we hi Cat Savage.
Hi Cat Savage.
One of the
big diversity.
One of the biggest things as that diversity, as the people who are being that are inputting that diversity into this community, into this world, we need to make sure that we're raising our voices. Our voices are our strongest tool. And when we use that together, even with our white allies and our non-POC allies, that is one of the things that will create the change that we're looking to see. And so I want to charge everyone during Black History Month to remember, to ask yourselves, how can I be in remembrance? How can I learn? and how can I love better?
Mm-hmm.
Because these are the things we're looking for, especially in Black History Month. Okay?
Come on now.
Now, I was just
Especially.
going to say, and this is not anything a put down to my brethren and sisters.
No, nothing is a put down. We are welcome to anything that you have to
But
say.
every black face may not be the face of wisdom in all cases.
That part.
So I really
I
want
agree.
us to also start reflecting inward
That's
and
true.
challenging ourselves.
Oh,
That
yes.
is true.
You know what?
And that,
You know,
on
that's
that, hold
something-
on that note, Candace Owens, can you do us all a favor? Please stop talking for black folk.
No, but you know
Just do us
what?
all a favor.
You know what?
Candace Owens.
That's a principle that I like to
Challenge thyself
Yes.
before we get up there with that microphone
That's a
and
challenge.
start
That's-
blasting
Lord have
off.
mercy.
That's a challenge that I like to...
But you know what? I stopped coming for her because I
God.
realized she is married to a blonde hair, blue eyed
Miss
white
Owens?
man.
Oh, God.
Candace Owens. And it's like, so the verbal diarrhea that comes out her mouth just literally doesn't make, it never makes
I
any
like to call it
sense.
that verbal diarrhea. No, but the principle that you were speaking of is something that I like to express usually towards the end of the show, something to leave with people to always look inward before looking outward. Because that is something that trumps just supporting or just acknowledging any black face. Because like you said, every black face or every black person
Sheriff
is not...
Clark, shut up.
Right. There have been a few in history that I've been like,
And you know
why?
what? I'm even saying, you know what? Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson.
And you
sit
know
down.
they go looking for those.
Goodness, girl. And those are the ones that are the most publicized.
Who's going through it? Who got
Some of y'all
problems?
need to
Who
sit
got
down.
bad history? Who's
So
problematic?
just to move forward a little bit, because I really want to pick you guys' brains a little bit about this topic. I talked a little bit earlier about the Negro Experience that I did last Black History last year. I talked about that in 3 parts. It was basically, again, the socioeconomics of my POV into being black and what consists of my blackness, and how that relates to black history. And so that broke those down into 3 parts, into the drug epidemic, because as we know, crack and things of that nature were filtered into the black community in the 60s. We know. We broke that down into religion.
It's going to be a long conversation.
And then we broke that down into
It's gonna be a very long
black and
conversation.
queer coming out stories as well. And so I want to hear a little bit about that from both of you, because for that segment I did that alone. I did the Negro Experience alone. So I didn't even hear my good friend Dion's experience or his correlation to that as either.
Well, because
So-
you haven't had me on this show in a long time.
You know what, Dion?
He's been on my show 13 times.
13 and a half.
13 something odd times, okay? Ask him how many times I've been on this show.
I can't with him. He's salty about it.
2 other times.
But, okay, so...
3.
I'm
Three
going
other
to
times.
ask Ephraim to go
You know what
first,
it is?
because Ephraim's our
You know
new
why?
friend.
You know why?
You know what?
You know why he doesn't have me on the
Dion.
show? You know why he doesn't want me on the show, everybody?
Why?
Because I'm disruptive.
See? He said it, not me. He said it. But I'm
You're
gonna
not
have
disruptive.
I'm gonna have Ephraim
You're,
go first because he's our new friend. Now that I want to explain that before Dion cuts my head off. And I want to hear a little bit about your
friends and new
experience
friends.
Which
with
part first?
and-
The religion, the coming out, or the
all of it. All of it. Your experience of your blackness, how those things relate to.
Okay. So I'll go through this and be as brief as possible.
Yes.
So when I look at the drugs and the epidemic, I try to think about, because you can't change the past, but how do we build out of it now in today's day?
Absolutely.
I think about the ripple effect. So with drugs, which affected schooling, which affected living, and bringing in projects, okay, and then using all this to fuel the imprisonment of black folks in the prison.
That's the
system.
realty. Using all that profit to again something that
imprison.
doesn't benefit us as a community.
Okay.
That's the realty.
Right.
But I'll let you continue. Sorry.
Okay, yeah. So what I try to tell people now, and I'll use this as an example, marijuana. Marijuana is something that a lot of people smoke, indulge in, including myself.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
The mother's herb.
Everybody who
tree,
knows me knows I'm a
remedies for many different diseases and things, and relaxation and mental health. And all those things was used as a way to weaponize against people of color.
Absolutely.
And imprison
Absolutely.
them, okay? So now that it benefits the government,
Now it's not
being
criminalized.
legalized.
Right. Now it's not
Okay.
criminalized anymore
Okay.
because it's benefiting the government.
How can we
Absolutely.
bring equity and reparations to those lives and families that have been affected and imprisoned for something that is now legal.
That's a big one.
Okay.
And then how about, because I heard your point of view on the first two, but how about being a queer person of color? How has that affected you?
Okay. Well, I was going to go on that as far as religion.
Mm.
Okay, so when we look at religion, okay, essentially dating back to slavery and how we were taken captive from a religion that we had of our own using deities and spiritual enlightenment, okay? And now we're placed into this situation where we're now told that we have to obey these books and this ideology from white folks and white people.
And not to cut you off again, but this is something I talked about in the Negro Experience originally, was that, and I remember specifically this fact because I went over my notes earlier today, but 77% of Black Americans identify as a Christian or Christian believing faith. But it wasn't always so, because like you said, it's dated back to slavery, where they bought us and they displaced billions of African people, displaced billions of people and brought them to this place, and then they started to relate to this religion.
I'm going to say this: I don't think we look at also the same time when you're looking at the vernacular tradition and you're looking at the things such as the songs, such as "Steal Away to Jesus," "Go Down Moses." Right? There was a certain amount of faith that our ancestors had.
Oh, absolutely.
In Jesus, right? And then when you look at it, so that's during the Civil War period, slavery. But then when we look at the Civil Rights period, that same idea with the Black churches, we're gonna, we shall overcome.
And like we tend to do,
you could take away the tradition, but you can't take away the inner.
You cannot, right? But like we tend, okay, perfect. Like we tend to do as Black and brown folks, and in this community, we use our strengths to create avenues that weren't previously created. So we took that religion that they gave us, that they said, this is the religion we practice here, this is what you should believe, and we made our own avenues. And because we also, we
took a religion
like you
back.
said, with the Negro spirituals and songs of that nature, we also took that and made it our own. We made codes out of those songs. We survived off of that songs, and we used religion as a tool.
Did we use religion or did we use spirituality?
Spirituality.
I think our ancestors used spirituality as a tool.
Because we had so little,
and then over the years became religious.
We had to.
Now, I hope you don't mind if I do a little self promo here, because this is
absolutely.
Okay.
No, absolutely. That's what we're all about it.
I have a documentary. It's called Black Art Hills.
Oh, yes.
And it was a 10-day tour throughout the East Coast of the United States during the unfortunate George Floyd protests. Oh, yes. The election and COVID, okay?
That was just a whirlwind of a year. Jesus.
2020? You learned about your white friends.
Oh my God! Yes, you learned about your
white friends. And
on the stop in the tour, I was able to visit a African village, which is a sovereign government on U.S. soil.
Okay.
It's in South Carolina. I suggest that you all look this up. It's called the Oyotunji Village. Okay?
Oh, nice.
In South Carolina, Oyotunji Village.
I'll reach out to you to add that to the comments later.
Yep. You can plan trips there to live the way of life and lifestyle and religious beliefs of our original African ancestors.
Oh, I love that. That sounds amazing. That sounds amazing.
Yep,
we were watching High on the Hog a few weeks ago. And that spiritual moment that he had after indulging in the culture for a few weeks and eating the food and learning so much, it was, I don't know if I can speak for Dion, but I felt that moment.
What movie?
So on High on the Hog.
Oh, hold on. If anybody has not watched High on the Hog on Netflix, it's Netflix, right?
Yes, it's on Netflix.
It's on Netflix. High on the Hog on Netflix. High on the Hog.
Yes.
Baby, they started with okra.
It's good.
They started with okra. Hey! They started with okra. I felt like I was back in Louisiana in the back, Hammond, Louisiana, ready to sit in church, waiting for Sunday dinner for that jambalaya, gumbo, and catfish. That's how I felt. And give me the biscuits, running down with butter.
Honestly, it has been a really huge part of Black culture. The food, and the way they correlate that in that documentary.
But what I love most is that they took it back to Africa. They talked about the things such as the yam, and they talked about rice, and they talked about okra. These things that came from the continent of Africa. Hold on. I know we're excited about this, but
Black Eyed Peas.
Black, you know,
yes.
those things like that.
Yes.
But here's the crazy thing: the same thing that came from the motherland, ended up becoming poor foods in this country
Yes.
and helped our ancestors, people like my grandmother, my great grandmother,
get
get by when they lived in their shacks and things like that.
Oh,
So
wait.
listen, I'm there. I know I'm in that vein. Listen. And let me tell you something. Y'all young people sitting there talking about I don't want to eat this, I don't want to eat that.
Well, hold on. I say it's the reverse.
Wait a minute.
The poor man's food is now the cuisine.
Oh yes, that right there. Isn't that what? Isn't that the? I was watching something.
When you go to New Orleans, they make fine cuisine. Poor people food.
You're gonna sit there and get. Don't give me no pig feet for $40.
You know what? It's gonna be the most divine pig feet you ever had.
I don't care if it's divine. I'd rather get my grandmama's pig feet where she done got for that $40. She done got a whole 5 pounds, 6 pounds.
Listen.
How many bars serve wings, right? Now, wings used to be considered the peasant's part of the chicken.
That is true.
Because if you were rich and fancy,
and that's because last week we talked about food.
You had the breast.
That's because it's become American cuisine.
American cuisine,
right? As a lot of black and brown folks' cuisine become when it reaches.
But can I say this though?
Lawrence Little said, "Hey, family."
Hey, brother Lawrence. I'm a big bro.
But before we get too far in the program, Dion, we're almost there. I need to move forward a little bit. Because Ephraim really touched the vein that I really want to move forward with a little bit. You talked about the BLM movement, and that's really important, and that's really a really huge turning point for us in the modern day fight as civil rights activists, as you know, people who are out there fighting the good fight, as we all have done. I don't know if y'all saw the promo, but I made sure to get us all in action in those pictures on the promo. But you know, it's a really big issue. In general, the state of the world. The state of the world is something that we've all had to ponder as of lately, especially again like that whirlwind of 2020. We're all sitting here thinking like, what's going on?
The black and
what's
queer
happening?
Part for me.
Absolutely, we're all like, what's happening? What's going on? I don't know how to live. I don't know how to be. And so that's a really big thing that BLM capitalized on as well. And the timing was, I want to say, impeccable for a group like that to pop up. And so how did that? Again, I want to know how that affected your lives during that time period of the BLM movement. And let's start with Dion. And for those of you who don't know,
another question
for those of them who don't know, what is the BLM movement?
So you already asked another question. Also, you asked for my coming out story as a black man, and so there's two parts. So first, the BLM movement is the Black Lives Matters movement, and there are various versions now of the Black Lives Matters movement. And there are various, I'll be honest, there are various ideas, and just like any organization, right? When you look at historic organizations like the NAACP or the Urban League, hold on, let me finish. The Urban League, Southern Christian Leadership Conference, Nation of Islam, Black Panthers. There's always, when you get a large group of people together, there's going to be some type of conflict, there's going to be some type of disagreement. You know what I mean? Period. You know, period. And there's going to be different veins and different avenues. So BLM, I think, where we are with Black Lives Matters movement is saying, hey, you know, many of us saying the BLM movement was for just only black men, black cisgendered men,
which is not so,
right. And well, that's how people feel that way.
Oh, they perceived it that
way.
Gotcha,
you know, because it looked like perceived it that way. But now I think I know, and there's this feel of more people saying, hey, look, no, it's not just we're talking about black men being killed. It's not just about cisgender black men or cisgendered people being killed. It's also about our transgender and non-binary siblings as well, also being killed. Let's be real. Also, 2021 was the deadliest year for our transgender
absolutely.
Black, and every person who was killed.
It became a time.
Transgender or non-binary person.
It became a time of victimization.
Yes.
Of the black and brown community and of the trans community. Anything other than cisgender.
But the issue for me is
white male.
The issue for me though is that when we have someone who is a cisgendered black man get killed, we flood the streets.
Oh yes.
But when it's a woman or someone who is transgender or someone who's non-binary, someone who is queer, we as an entire black community do not come out. And here's my thing: if women, our transgender siblings, non-binary siblings in the queer community comes out for cisgendered men, cisgendered straight men need to start coming out for us as well, because all of us matter. At the end of the day, something, and I'm gonna say this: I didn't agree in Dave Chappelle's and everything that Dave Chappelle said.
Oh,
I did not agree with everything Dave Chappelle said. I did not.
My God.
However, something that he said was very prominent, and that was when he got into argument with a white person who was transgender, and they said they were going to call the cops. He said he knew if it was someone who was black and transgender, they weren't going to call the cops because they know that when the police show up, it doesn't matter if you are straight, if you are gay, if you are lesbian, bisexual, transgender, non-binary, or any one of
famous
the
or
letters.
broke.
Right, famous or not, yeah.
Famous or broke.
You are
cops
brown.
show up when we are brown.
Right.
It's not gonna, you know.
Absolutely.
And a trans woman of color would never say no foolishness.
So we have to get into our conscience moving forward as BLM, as black and brown people. We have to move forward, saying not just one of the categories matter. I'm going to stand here. We all matter.
Absolutely.
Period.
Absolutely. And I'm going to pose this to you because I want to hear your point on this as well. But I said it was a time of strong victimization of the black and brown community. I felt. And BLM, arose at the perfect time for us to have that tool to combat that, I think. And that was one of the reasons why I thought it was important. But also, a lot of, even to this day, I just heard about it the other day, hate crimes against black and brown people have been at an all-time high. And I think that that's something that has a huge impact on our community. And speaking from my point of view, I think that even more so, black men were targeted. And it's not by chance that I have two black men on today. Not by chance. Because I really want to hear your point as well as your point on that little tidbit.
Well, first I'll set the record straight with Black Lives Matter for those who don't understand the foundation and the history of it. Black Lives Matter was founded by 3 black women, in which 2 of them identify as being queer, gay, lesbian, or however that you want to categorize that.
That's the most I knew.
So their original idea was to have specifically a intersecting movement of black people of different backgrounds, types, and diaspora and gender identities come together, how the public responded to that, how media and news report that, may differentiate from what actually happened. But that was the goal. So the largest Black Lives Matter event that I got to attend, and was an honor to actually go because it was hosted by Al Sharpton. And say what you want about
it. Mr. Sharpton.
But it was hosted by Al Sharpton and Martin Luther King Jr. III.
Okay.
Which is Martin Luther King Jr.'s son.
Yes.
And they had a march on Washington. And for me, everybody couldn't go, all my friends couldn't come on the trip or travel or whatever. But for me, it was therapeutic to go just for the long-standing history. I mean, it's Black History Month. How can you not honor Martin Luther King and those by his side and things like that? So, I went.
You get to have that experience to yourself.
But, not that I was so much surprised, but I was very grateful that on that day, a march in Washington, I think in 2020, August the 28th, I remember it's called the Get Your Knee
you
Off
better
of
remember
Our...
the exact date.
The Get Your Knee Off of Our Next Commitment March. They had people come speak on trans lives and queer lives and women lives and all types of great blackness. And they really stuck to that. You know what I mean? So I really want to just commend that. And it made me feel good. It made me feel welcomed. And, dealing with the black community, going into your queer question, being black and queer and things. Due to kind of like white supremacy and how we look at slavery and things. As a black community, there's this need to counteract racism and white privilege. So out of that, among black men specifically, there's this need to be extra macho, extra diligent, be strong, be a warrior. So when you bring in, when you bring in people who are gay, other black people.
It
See that as like a
challenges,
threat.
It challenges their pattern of thinking.
Yeah, it challenges that. So, in the home, it's kept very hush-hush, and on the DL and all those things, because being gay is seen as a challenge to the masculinity that we need you to be on these front lines out here fighting the good fight.
And again, that speaks to the impact that this violence has had on us as a community, as black men, as black queer men. And that speaks a lot on the silent impact that it has on us, which is not so silent to us because we are in it. So, Dion, I want to hear a quick 2 minutes on how you feel about that as well, the impact that it has had, the uprising in violence in the black and brown community.
I mean,
it's a lot to say in 2 minutes.
It's a lot. It's a lot to say in 2 minutes. I mean, but at the end of the day, it's not new. It's never been new. The violence against black and brown folk has always been there. It's been there since we've landed foot on this country, on this continent. It was there during our ancestors were in slavery. It was there during the civil rights movement. It was there even through the early 2000s. But we also chose to ignore it. I remember back in 2006 in Jenner, Louisiana, six black boys were convicted of a crime for beating up a group of white boys who decided to put a noose on a tree. And these 6 boys were in high school and they were tried as adults. We still have a problem when you sit down and look in Atlanta. Like we said, marijuana being illegal. Somebody just having any type of paraphernalia could be a bowl and they get automatically 90 days in prison.
Right.
These are still issues that
First Day is watching and he said, great topic of discussion.
Now, I just want to challenge any white viewers or those who are not black. Now, if someone walked down the street with a noose or whatever, waving it around, threatening black folks, they either deserve their ass beat or they don't. And I think if you were the judge...
I was like, where's he going with this?
If you were the judge, right, who was responsible to decide the fate of those black kids who was not bothering anybody, essentially.
But again, we're talking about Jenner, Louisiana.
Right. But again, we're talking about Louisiana.
Let's be 100.
But
do they not deserve their ass beat?
No. But you know what? Here's the thing. So, for anybody that knows about me,
White folk are not used to getting what they deserve.
I'm just saying.
Anybody knows anything about me? I grew up bowling, 10-pin bowling, and let me just tell you about 10-pin bowling. I know some of my friends that are watching. There's some, excuse my language, there's some rednecks that bowl. Straight up. And I've gone to some tournaments where literally my group of friends who are all black and brown, black and Latino, where we were top 5, and all the white kids would leave with their parents. But when we weren't top 5, what we were doing, we were staying, watching who won, because we wanted to see what was their method in winning, how did they win, things like that, right? Very meticulous, right? So... And that's what made us better. But I remember this moment when I became an adult bowler. I was bowling in a league, and there was a older couple. The man had to be about 90 years old, almost 90 years old. He was still good, mind you. He was averaging 190 or something like that.
No, I'm just hearing traditional. When you said 90 years old, I'm like,
right?
He's stuck in his ways.
Right. So he and his wife and his team, all white people, they had a noose. Right, and we have this thing in bowling called if your entire team strikes except for you, we play hangman. You play hangman, right? Yeah. And usually what we do is, as in my team and back in the day, we used to pay if you were the person who didn't strike, you would have to pay $1 into the kitty we would put for the end of the season to divide up. If the whole team kept striking, and then say if we all threw 5 in a row, and then in the 6th frame, the first person to miss, they had to pay $2. We used to do that. What they did instead for hangman was they would pass this noose around to the person who got hung.
You mean literally play hangman?
Literally play hangman. Hold on. So here's excuse my language, here's my black ass bowling next to them.
And you're like, what the hell?
Y'all know me. I'm sitting there bowling, striking, and I turned and I see I wasn't even bowling against them. They're bowling on the next pair next to me. And I turned to see them passing this noose around. I said, is that I said, all I know is the week I bowl, y'all, I better not see that noose.
Listen.
Straight up.
Let it be known.
And let me tell you something. Since then, every time I see them bowl, I don't see that news.
You know what? This is why
I just in the judicial system. I just want to see more down to earth people who have actually lived a life.
Yes.
Say it from the streets.
Yes.
Or whatever.
This is what me and Dion talk about with
y'all whooped his
politics.
ass. He had a
Yes.
news. All right, 2 weeks community service. I get it.
This is what Dion and I talk about with politics.
You,
We need
sir,
people who have been through the struggle.
Not just not just politics,
who are
and
relatable,
politics
right?
and education.
Wait,
When
pause.
you go to the
Pause.
DMV, when you go to the tax assessor's
Absolutely.
office, like we need real people.
Any government
And
facility.
you know what?
Gracious.
You know what? You
all
touched,
sitting up there all stiff.
you touched on the last thing that I want to bring up before we do our last game, Dion. And that's something, another big reason why I'm glad to have your impartation on this is education. Education, it's a really big one. We started talking about it a little bit earlier, and I promised you that I would mention it. But there was this hotline that was created that I saw in a certain school district, and I don't remember. But this hotline was created. This hotline was created to report critical race theory being taught in schools. Okay. And I don't remember the school district, but this hotline was specifically created.
All right, let me just say this.
To report critical race theory.
I'm going to say this right
here. Hold on.
Okay.
This hotline was created to specifically report critical race theory that is being taught in schools in this district. And not to mention, or to mention actually, this is something that really stuck with me, that in the U.S., in UK, and in Germany, which are the most richest nations, they're rated the poorest in education quality. And for me to be focusing your attention on recreating this hotline to oppose critical race theory, and like we talked about on another episode of Tea with Taylor, to oppose anything teaching gender identity, we should be focusing our attentions on having a better quality of education, because education inequality is very pertinent. And COVID only highlighted that problem, I think. So and another stat that I want to share before I hear from you. This were the stats of people that are expected to graduate based on their race. 14 out of 100 South and West Asian people are expected to graduate. This is high school, not college. 36 out of 100 Latin Americans are expected to graduate, and only 4 out of 100 Africans are expected to graduate.
African Americans?
African Americans.
Okay, gotcha.
Go, Dion.
So I'm going to say this. We've already had critical race theory. For many years, and for many, many years, we've had to learn about the critical race of white America. We have had to learn about what has made white America great. We have had to learn, tell lies in our history book, not taught about people like Crispus Attucks, that, no, it wasn't just that he was the first black man to die in the Revolutionary War. He died because he was protecting his slave owner. Let's be real about this for a minute. Not just that, we're not taught about Nat Turner. We're not taught about Sojourner Truth when she gave her speech, Ain't I a Woman, because all the other women did not want to talk about the black women in slavery and the black women's struggle when they were fighting for women's rights, because they wanted to pretend that black women weren't anything. We've always, in this country, effortlessly, without realizing it, because we were just brought up in it, have been taught white race theory. Now here we are saying, no, here we are as black and brown folks saying it's not just white people who have built this country, but black and brown people who have built this country, and there's a call for it. The more and more as we grow as a country, the more and more become a melting pot. Let's just be real. White Americans are becoming outnumbered, period.
And you know what? This was my thought when I read it. If black children or black and brown children can live this and are taught through living this life, critical race theory, then white children should at least have the opportunity to
It's not just that. It's not just that though, Taylor. Because I remember when I was teaching, and they said to me that I could not teach Ralph Ellison's Invisible Man. Right? Ralph Ellison is one of my favorite
there are
authors.
those shadow banned books.
Invisible Man is one of the greatest pieces of literature, right, ever in the 20th century. They told me that the reason why I couldn't teach it was not because they didn't want me to teach it. They didn't think that the students that I worked with, the black and brown students that I worked with, would grasp it and understand the symbolism and the modernism and the realism within the book. And let me tell you something. We read that book. Those kids not only understood it, they had a teacher who was passionate about teaching, who was dedicated to teaching.
Right.
And this is why I continually say in education, we need to make sure that our teachers come from the neighborhoods that they serve.
They're teaching.
That they're teaching in. Because of the fact that they can identify what the student's going through. They can identify with the struggle. They understand that that student may have woken up this morning, not been able to eat breakfast, or you know what, they didn't get any sleep last night because they had to watch their brothers and sisters
but you know
while
what?
their mother and
That
father worked 2 or
reaction
3
of
jobs
those
to make
people,
ends meet.
that reaction of those people to
And
these kinds of things speaks to the socioeconomics of that community.
Soon as students see themselves in something, they're going to grasp it.
Exactly.
Absolutely. So so what's your take on the inequality of education in the community?
Well, his take is like what should be taught.
Oh, absolutely.
And I actually work in the school system. So I'm going to kind of go in the direction of why they're not teaching it.
Okay.
Learn
us a little
word on the street is that this ban on critical race theory is being used to ban any type of form of blackness. So, like, how long have we been teaching about Rosa Parks? So now now establishments are like, well, we can't teach about Rosa Parks because that's critical race theory. But that's not technically critical race theory.
That's
something we've always been teaching.
Again, no, what I'm saying is I understand all that. That part I understand. I understand what they're trying to tell not to. Because I worked in education for 8 years. 8 years, and I left the education system simply because of the fact that we could not really teach what we needed to teach. And here's my biggest thing with education. I love things like the union and things like that because it helps, it helps workers. But teachers should have a certain autonomy in the classroom because you know your students best. Not every teacher is the same, and not every student is the same. So you cannot put a bar here and expect this to happen.
And you know what?
So here's the thing. When we're talking about reading, right? And I'm saying, yes, this should be taught because of that identity, because if they see themselves in what they're reading, they're going to learn how to read. If they see themselves in what they're doing in arithmetic, they're going to learn how to do math. If they see themselves, what they're learning in science, they're going to learn how things work, and they're going to be having that empirical
So
thought.
Kat Savage had a really good point as well, and I'm gonna give you a moment to talk on this again, Ephraim. But she said the worst part is that education textbooks content is largely dictated by conservative states simply because they have the largest population. So the textbook companies will sell more books, and that is the ticket: selling more books, as opposed to
That's so gross.
It's so gross. As opposed to focusing on actually educating people on things that they need to know, or educating black and brown folks the same way you're educating white folk, or the same way you're educating the rich community, you're educating the poor community.
These misinformed books are hotcakes right now.
Like literally.
Wait a minute. So did you ever hear about the Conservative Daughters of America? They created history books in the South that were passed out all in the South.
Yes. I didn't know the name, but
it was the Conservative Daughters of America, and they had textbooks, and that's
how do you keep selling more books? Play into people's already existing ideologies.
Exactly.
Don't
because
put anything that challenges
It's easier
them.
for people to teach the things that they already believe in.
Right. You like Michael Jackson said, all I really want to say is they don't really care about us.
I was gonna say too, especially like for anyone really, Latino, Indian, Asian, Black. We're exposed to whiteness as soon as we're born.
Absolutely.
You see white folks on TV. You're around it. We adapt to it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But there's
Joe,
places in America where
Superman.
A white person might never encounter a black person.
True.
You know what I'm saying? So that may...
And then that's where I think a big part of film and seeing like black and brown folks in movies and things like that plays a role in our upbringing. And plays a huge role in the impact that we have in the community because we're seeing successful Black and brown people
did for the black community, for young black kids.
And it hasn't always been so.
When Chadwick Boseman passed away, I watched all my little cousins literally cry because of the fact that was a hero.
It hasn't always been so. We've always seen black and brown folks playing the submissive role, or playing the lesser than, or the slave, or playing the maid, and things like that. Play into the stereotype of it all. Absolutely. And so it's really encouraging to see that we're moving forward.
That's why I like the Django. Every time I watch the Django...
Django took me out.
Yeah,
when he said, who the fuck you... Sorry, the Django took me out. I'm just saying that.
Who this nigga? Oh,
right? I was like, yo, that would be me as a slave. I'm just saying.
I kind of get extra disappointed where if black people make things that play into the same stereotypes
True.
that white people make.
True. You know what? I was at that point one time where I was like so discouraged by black folk playing into those stereotypes, but I was like, listen, if white folks are going to do it and make money, then we can do it and make money. That's where I left.
Oh, well.
That's where I left.
I prefer we do it and make it.
I prefer we do it and make that back.
Let's be real.
Then
Let's be real. Beverly Hillbillies.
Listen.
The Beverly Hillbillies back in the day, that show about the white people being hillbillies, that wasn't a good.
But don't be mad when black filmmakers and black artists start to portray poor white folks in the way they are. Don't be mad because y'all have been portraying poor black folk in your movies and films and documentaries. So when we start portraying white folk, poor white folk, don't be mad because y'all be doing some crazy shit. And I'm gonna leave it at that.
Hey, I just say, give me a good story, something thoughtful and creative, and just switch.
You know what? I'm all about the equality of it all.
Yeah,
I'm all about it. Here we
all
are.
about it.
So I'm gonna leave it there, and that was. I want to thank you guys for that conversation. I thank you for your point of view and for your impartation on all the things that we talked about here today. I'm gonna give you guys back your Friday evening, your Friday night, because I know you guys are probably getting ready to go out and do some things. But I want to remember and honor a black legend, a Black history legend, or a current black legend today, and give you guys the opportunity to maybe even highlight someone that you may have thought of that inspires you. So I really want to talk about Miss Solange Knowles. Solange Knowles has created a platform for artists in LA and in New York to have a platform to speak up and to show their work. Unheard of artists. It's only producing unheard of artists. And black and brown folk is the heart and core of this company that she's creating. And so I want to give a big ups to that. Like, I'm so happy to see that because there's so much creativity that happens in the black and brown community that later on is presented by a white person and praised and valued. And if we only had someone who had that opportunity to reach down into the down deeps and pull out that person and their inspiration and acknowledge that inspiration, that I think we would have more in black and brown artists. And she also has been doing a lot with filmmaking and documentary series where she's promoting a lot of unheard people who are working in those industries. And so I really am really happy to hear about that. And just her blackness and her unapologeticness in her last album just sat with me so wonderfully. I was like, oh yes, and she gave me all the colors and figuratisms and cubes and squares and triangles. And
I noticed on her concert she sings specifically to like a black woman
specifically,
in the audience.
And I want to thank her for that and for moving forward the idea of unapologetic blackness. So that is who I'm going to highlight today. And just a quick 2 minutes, I want to see if you guys want to highlight anyone.
Okay. I'm going to do two activists, real life living activists. Well, not living anymore.
Current.
But two activists throughout history. They're both unfortunately have passed. So Bayard Rustin was Martin Luther King's friend, but he couldn't be in the forefront of the movement because of his sexual orientation, because he was gay. So check him out, Bayard Rustin. And the other person is Marsha P Johnson. Okay, and Marsha P Johnson is a trans woman who has been a pioneer and activist in the gay rights movement. Okay, and these two people have a black trans woman.
We love Miss Marsha P.
Have inspired my music. I have an EP called Uprising 1969, and it plays on the fact that the Stonewall riots, which is when gay people used to be, well, still are, but gay people were beat the crap out of by police.
Oh, yes.
Okay. And Bayard Rustin speaks to how black men are being beat the crap out of by police. Okay. Which kind of fuels the album and the EP and things of today and connects the two, the gender and the ethnicity.
Jaden Vieira commented and said, yes, trans representation. Thank you for bringing them both up. Of course.
So check that out, Uprising 1969 on Spotify.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay, work. Okay.
Or Apple
I love that.
Music,
and Dion, who would you like to highlight?
So I was going to say Bayard Rustin because
I have a feeling I know who you're going to highlight.
I was going to say Bayard Rustin because of the fact I just read a book by Bayard Rustin last year. It was actually a biography about Bayard Rustin, and it was Make Trouble for Change, and Bayard, and I learned a lot about Bayard for that, and come to find out there's a group of queer men of color that have a Bayard Rustin breakfast usually every year, but because of 2020 pandemic, it has lessened, and our pastor actually used to speak at that.
Okay.
But I'm going to highlight one of my favorites. He was a literary author. He was a community activist. He was an activist for the civil rights movement. He was an activist.
That's exactly who I thought you were gonna.
He was an activist also.
He quotes this person all the time.
Who?
Keep going. Keep going.
Ooh.
Keep going.
No, go ahead. I want you to know.
No, keep going.
No,
Keep
go ahead.
going.
No. I want to see if you're right. No, because you know me so well, right?
Dion adamantly quotes James Baldwin, so I don't know if that's what he's going for.
You know me so well. I'm so happy. Come on, let's do a shot for that, best friend.
You know what? No. Continue.
Anyway, James Baldwin.
He inspired you. He gives you life.
You know what? Forget that. I'm gonna do Langston Hughes. How about that?
You know what?
Langston Hughes.
Not you people helping.
Change it.
Not you people helping.
No, they both. Langston Hughes and James Baldwin actually truly did inspire me. I read much of their literary content through the years from the Harlem Renaissance, and also a lot of what James Baldwin said and things like that. And I'm gonna do Langston Hughes. It says this fool wants to talk about James Baldwin. I'm gonna do Langston Hughes, and here we go. What happens to a dream deferred? Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun, or fester like a sore and then run? Does it stink like rotten meat, or fest and crust over like a syrupy sweet? Maybe it just sags like a heavy load, or does it explode? There you go.
Thank you for that excerpt, my love. My gosh.
Well, thanks for having us.
Of course. No, this was a really great.
It's about time you had me back. It's been like years. Goodness gracious.
Oh my gosh.
And I get sick and tired.
Now I'm gonna send you some of my music so that you can use it.
Absolutely encourage
and that
you.
way you don't get flagged for copyright.
Last week I was talking to Tia from Tia Makes and Bakes. I was talking to her. I was like, listen, I'll do your theme song if you do mine, because I need a theme song. I don't know.
Before we go, I think Taylor should sing Lift.
Well, I don't want your videos getting flagged. And
I think Taylor should
You know what? It's happened before.
Good call.
It's actually happened before, and I'm like, listen.
How many people out there would like to hear Taylor sing, lift every voice and sing just the first verse of it to take us out? I think he should sing it.
I'm not going to do that. But that was it.
Send your money to $ Dion Sage if you want to hear Taylor Neptune.
Feel free to tip tonight. $1 will make you holla. $5, $10,
yes,
whatever.
$ Dion Sage.
$ Taylor Neptune.
Or $Dion
Cheers,
Sage.
Guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here today. Happy Black History Month again.
Happy Black History Month.
I just want to say, like I always do, make sure you're looking inward. Again, we talked about it earlier, but also be good to yourself. Be good to yourself. The world is going to beat you up enough. You don't have to do it, I promise. Treat yourself like pure gold. And this month, I'm also, again, challenging everyone to think how you can be a solution as opposed to a problem.
Amen.
We are amen. And that's my challenge for you guys this month and moving forward in life. Even.
Yes.
Jaden says, Taylor, sing for me. It's my birthday in 14 days.
Oh, I have a new birthday song.
Girl, I'll sing for you in 14 days then. What?
What's that person's name?
Jaden Vieira. He's one of our really good friends.
I'm gonna go to the comments.
No, Jaden is
and I'm
one
gonna
of my
send you
children.
this new birthday song.
Jaden and AJ are my children.
So thank you guys for watching. Keep up with me on social medias at Taylor Neptune on all of the above. I don't got time. God willing, we'll be back next Friday, 6 o'clock. So thank you all for watching.
Check me out
I love you
10
all. Anything you guys want to leave with us real quick? No? No?
Yeah. Check me out 10 o'clock in the morning. Coffee with D. I'll be on live. And also remember, be loved, be kind, be patient.
Oh, we love that. That's beautiful. I might have to take that for season 6. But thank you guys for joining us here today. We're going to continue this conversation for a lifelong opportunity.
Yes.
Thank you all, and I love you. Have a good Friday night.
Uh-oh.